Basement Games series presents Classic Magic the Gathering with your host, Kevin. Hey folks, I just thought I'd do a quick little video about some things from Magic's history, and I happen to have this complete encyclopedia Magic the Gathering book right here. You can find it online very cheaply, and gosh, what year did this come out? This came out in around 2001, actually. So it hits the various series, starting with around 4th edition and going all the way till around Nemesis, Invasion, Plane Shift, that block, that kind of stuff. And it was very interesting just kind of going through this, and I figured I'd take a quick 10 minutes or so and go through just from 4th edition to revised. And they break down some of their thoughts, how the design happened, as well as things that were removed or added, or why they made the choices they made. They even include some prices of Power 9 at the time, which I find really fun to look at. So join me, won't you? And we'll have a little master series on the 4th edition block as well as revised. All right. Oh, and because this is the first time I'm doing this, I just want to do a little bit on the prehistory of Magic the Gathering, because they have this nice little introduction right here, and I was going to go ahead and read it for you. Anything good? All right. So it reads like this. You've probably heard the story by now. Peter Atkinson and about a dozen of his friends loved Dungeons and Dragons, the game so much that Peter formed Wizards of the Coast to produce a line of supplemental products for it. Sometime later, they were approached by Richard Garfield, a mathematician and game designer. Richard wanted Wizards to publish a board game he had designed called Robo Rally, but Wizards wasn't equipped to produce board games. What we're really looking for, said Peter, is something quick and fun that people can play between games and at gaming conventions. Okay, so far this is kind of in line with the history that I've heard about the formation of Magic, and it's just kind of cool to see some of the inner details. Months later, Richard returned with an early design for the Magic the Gathering trading card game, a concept game he had been working on for years. Its inspiration came from a non-collectible card game called Cosmic Encounter, in which the cards change the rules of the game each turn. Peter and the rest of the group at Wizards knew almost immediately that Magic could be big, really big, change the gaming world big. I would say they were right, too. There were arguments about whether to print 500,000 cards or, say, 4 million in the first release. Wizards went out on a limb and printed 2.6 million. They sold out in weeks. The phenomenon was born. So 2.6 million boxes went out of the original alpha set, according to this. Or unless that's individual cards. Doesn't really say. 500,000 cards. Okay, so 2.6 million cards from alpha were printed, which probably lines up. My understanding is that basically alpha came out and was sold out. Basically it went to the conventions only at the time, and it sold out so fast they immediately went into a second printing, which was beta. 9 years, over 5,000 unique cards, and almost 30,000 expansions later, Richard's original concept of a game is far bigger than the box it comes in. Okay, this is all just kind of promotional stuff about it. I was more interested in the history of it. Very cool, though. So, yeah, they talk about, here's flavor text. Just a little bit of history about the flavor text you find on cards. In the early days of Magic, things didn't always go smoothly. In fact, things hardly ever were as planned. For example, after the Arabian Nights expansion was designed, developed, and ready for printing, someone thought the cards looked a little bare. Then they realized why. They had no flavor text. The decision was made to find flavor text for the cards that had room for it, but there was a hitch. All card text, including the new flavor text, had to be finalized by the next day. One of the Magic editors at the time rose the challenge. She scrambled to find copies of the Arabian Nights, but all she could find was the Hussein Hadaway translation of a 14th century Syrian translation and a junior classics edition for the young adults that told the stories of Aladdin, Ali Baba, and Sinbad. Armed with only those 2 books, Beverly wrote all the flavor text for the Arabian Nights card in a single, very long night. Charizard would be proud. That is pretty cool. So basically, the whole reason we have flavor text as we know it today is that people, when they were designing the Arabian Night card series, they had an editor get basically 2 children's versions of the storyline of Aladdin and the 40 Thieves and all that stuff, and take quotes out of that and subtext and context and put it in as flavor text on the cards. That's really cool. And she did it all in one night. That's really cool. All right. So yeah, that was just kind of something I wanted to share with you guys. It was pretty cool. So we're going to head into 4th edition a little bit. And we'll tell you about 4th edition and the choices they made. So what they do with this encyclopedia is they actually break down a little bit about the edition, how it came out, why the design choices were made. And 4th edition to most people is often considered the first of the numbered core sets, if you will. So in the world of Magic, we think of a core set as coming out once a year, usually in the summertime. For a while, they up until 10th edition, I believe, they had a number system. So if you start in the numbers of alpha being 1, beta being 2, and unlimited being 3, is it unlimited? Or maybe, I think they actually combine alpha and beta together because they were printed so closely together and the only change was the curvature. I think AB is actually technically 1. Yeah, that makes more sense. So then AB is 1, unlimited would be 2, I believe revised is 3, and then 4th edition is 4. Oh yeah, revised is 3rd. Yeah, that makes sense. They call it that. That makes total sense. All right, sorry, a little out of it today. So 4th edition is often considered the first of the numbered campaign reprint series or core sets. Let's get into it. So released in April 1995, 4th edition is the latest version of the Magic. That's so cute. In a continuing attempt to balance and add flavor to the game, 51 cards are removed from the revised edition, and 122 cards from previous expansions were added. You got to remember, in between revised, which is 3rd edition, until 4th, you had the Arabian Nights set, you had the Dark. I can't remember if Chronicles was in there or not. You had about 4 or 5 different sets, and then we get to the reprint set. So quite a bit had actually happened. Of the cards that were removed from the revised, most were taken out because they tended to unbalance a game. Things that were taken out, Dual Lands was taken out from Unlimited to 4th edition, or revised to 4th edition. While most of the degenerate cards were removed from the set in previous rotations, a few, like Wheel of Fortune, still remained, and then still that remained, and then were taken out. So what they're basically saying is between, say, Unlimited into 3rd edition revised, they had already gotten rid of a lot of the overpowered cards at the time. Primarily, we're talking about Power 9. You don't see Power 9 in the revised edition stuff. So between revised and 4th edition, you see even more cards come out because they were seen to unbalance the game. Interesting. Other cards proved to be too powerful, like Juggernaut and Soul Ring. Getting these cards was sometimes a huge swing that could, and they needed to be removed from the set. These efforts to balance the card mix didn't just bring down the overall power of the set. Cards like Reconstruction, Shatterstorm, Reverse Polarity were removed because players generally didn't find them useful or because they didn't work as well in most situations. Others were removed because they proved to be too confusing, like Basalt Monolith or Rock Hydra. And most of all, they took out Clone, which is just kind of funny because Clone's back, you know? I mean, Clone's everywhere. All the Clone effects are back. Very interesting. So then they just kind of go on to talk about the major differences they made between 4th edition and revised. And then they talk about famous cards that in Magic from Alpha to 4th edition. In fact, they mention Hypnotic Spectre as one of those big cards to watch out for between Alpha and 4th edition. Hypnotic Spectre, a 2/2 flying creature. That's pretty awesome. They mentioned Black Vice and Lightning Bolt, of course, things that we all know about. And then, of course, from various sets, Nev Disc, Sarah Angel being a beast, and she was absolute beast for the time being. So the rest of this is basically a breakdown of all the cards in 4th edition, and you probably either know this already, but I just wanted to go through them very quickly and kind of show you some of the neat stuff in there. Again, this was your first real mainstream reprint set as far as when they go for core blocks. I feel like this really kind of set the bar for core blocks going forward, where remember Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, even if they are core, they were all reprints of themselves. So nothing really new happened there. The only thing that happened new was between Unlimited to Revised. They removed some cards, and then from Revised all the way to 4th, that's when you had some real changes in how they're doing, because they had added 5 expansions in between. So it's kind of neat stuff. And then they talk about on this page after this set, and I forgot how big the set was too, over like 300 cards. Holy shit, a lot of cards. This is all fourth edition stuff. Look at this. Oh crap. They don't make sets this big very much anymore, but I guess they were just trying to bring a lot of players in. I remember getting 4th edition packs brand new. This was definitely a very widespread game at the time. All right, so the discontinued section. So these were things that were taken out between Unlimited to Revised, and then Revised to 4th, and primarily they're talking about Power 9, which of course is the Moxen right there. But what I thought was really interesting and just kind of fun to look at quickly, and then here's the cards that were discontinued between Revised and 4th. So you had your Basalt Monolith, your Contract from Below, your Bayou, you know, duels, basically really cool shit. Yeah, oh god, this is all the stuff that I always want to play with. Your Wheel of Fortune, your Vesuvian Doppelganger. I love how Soul Ring and Shatterstorm are like the only things that have come back from that. I guess Regrowth is back. Oh, so cool, this stuff. Force Field. Anyway, there was a little section here where they mentioned Power 9, and I think I might have missed it. They mentioned Power 9, and they mentioned the pricing of it at the time. Let me see if I can find it real quickly for you guys. It was pretty awesome to see the pricing back in, what was this, 97, 98, something like that. Where the hell is it? The Power 9. Oh, there we go. Right here. So the Power 9. Magic fans are generally split into 2 camps, players and collectors. Players gather powerful cards and help them win games, and then collectors accumulate binders full of cards, often striving for complete sets. So the Power 9 are also called because they are the must-have cards for serious Type 1 tournament players. Over the years, these 9 insanely powerful beta and limited cards have proven their value by remaining among the most expensive cards in Magic. And then this is as of April 2001, Inquest Gamer. Inquest Gamer was made by by Wizard Magazine, and it was one of the Inquest. And they would do pricing guides and things like that, and they'd talk about it. This is as of 2001 price guide. We'll do Black Lotus last. I don't know if you can see it. Ancestor Recall, $130. Time Twister, $150. You hear that, Jermaine? $150 for Time Twister. The Moxes, all around $175. A Black Lotus sells for $315 in 2001. The one that just eBayed for roughly $10,000, I think last week. Sold for $300. Anyway, just some cool stuff. I wanted to take you down a little bit of history of Magic. If you like this little series, if you liked this stupid video, you want to see more of it, like, subscribe, comment, let me know. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Take care.